My parents lived on Broad Street, and as it turned out, my mom's parents' house is where I currently live. So that was, North School was her elementary school, and she went there, and my dad lived over on Columbus Street, and I think they kind of didn't get along real well in elementary school, but they knew each other, and then as life went on, junior high and high school, they became sweethearts, if you will. But that's how they met. My parents met at North School, that building at North School.
I had previously gone to school at East School, and my family was growing. We had 3 kids when we were living in the East School area, and then my parents had a 4th child, and we outgrew our house. And so we purchased a house over on Lake Street, my parents did, and I was in 3rd grade. They told me that we were going to be moving, and I was totally distraught. And so we moved to the North School District, and my 4th grade teacher was absolutely wonderful. I own Lurch. She took me under her wing, made me feel so wonderful and secure and safe. I don't know exactly how we all started to learn how to knit, but she wore these beautiful sweaters every day that she had made. And I'm sure somebody within the classroom or maybe a mother had noticed, and so she started out by having the girls learn how to knit, and we did it only on recess during our lunch periods or after school. And then all of a sudden the boys got interested. But I think there was probably an ulterior motive. Keeping our hands busy kept us out of trouble.
That was an interesting, exciting time. I had an opportunity to, early become an administrator, which was exciting for me. But also had an opportunity to work with lots of experienced teachers that taught me a lot about education and the position and a lot about kids. So it was a little nervous to start, but also excited to have an opportunity to work with a great staff and a great group of kids and a great group of parents.
There was a football field behind. It was Old North Field, and the band would organize and the cheerleaders would organize where Stanbury is, where the old high school was. And they would close down High Street, march down, and the band would be playing, and everybody would be behind the band. And it was a grand ceremony going into North Field.
It is the hub of our community. North was centrally located. There was a lot of action, movement with cars and those kinds of things around North.
Walking to school, you would walk and pick up your friends, and it was a time to socialize. You'd have a nice playground, and you'd be able to, look at, your friends, have fun before school, during school, and after school, in the area. And that playground was also utilized. I can remember going over and playing on the playground after schools.
As my parents went to North School, my brother and I went to North School, having lived on Broad Street. Our children, my wife and I, our children went to North School for a couple of years because we used to live on Fair Avenue. And I remember either not always walking my kids to school, but on Fair Avenue you weren't that far away. It's a block or two. You let kids go through Rising Park, they'll expend a lot of energy in 5 or 10 minutes. That's what it takes to walk to school. It's just great. It's a nice opportunity.
When I was there in 1962, it was an old building then.
It was in bad condition. We had, there were some times where we would have water on the floor. We would have pieces of the ceiling that would fall over long weekends, especially during 4th of July when we would come back with the fireworks. There was one particular classroom at North Elementary that pieces of the ceiling would fall. To walk around the building and see that the windows have been busted out was just really saddening that those kinds of things were happening in a place that was a lot of joy for kids and laughter and I think a school building really is much more than a building. It's there for the families and the community, and I think it's sad to see that happen to that building, but I think it's going to be great to see a new building on that property.
It has a wooden structure and on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and their rooms are built lengthwise instead of square. It has thick walls where it's very difficult to get new electrical wiring and upgrades on HVAC. pretty ridiculous. No ability to get good cable service for computers. So I talked to my parents when North School was being looked at to be abandoned for a lot of good reasons. And my parents were very practical and sympathetic and nostalgic. Some things you should try to keep and save. But those would be old residential homes, historical homes, things like that. A school building should be pretty functional. It should make sense for the students, the parents, the grandparents, and or the next generation of students.
It was very difficult because we were a tight community, and North was the oldest building in the district, and it was tough because we had to separate a staff that had been together a long time, a group of kids that have been together a long time, and it really was a family. As a matter of fact, the North Parent-Teacher Organization still exists and still are very active. We actually met a few weeks ago. But they did an excellent job, putting things together for students, for staff. It was tough, and I think the very last day was pretty emotional for everybody involved.
North School has had a wonderful career in life, served a lot of people well. Unfortunately, you can't make a silk purse out of that building anymore.
Buildings are buildings, they're structures, but what really makes the difference are the people and the connections, the teachers, the experiences that you have. You can have those anywhere. And so, the bottom line is that building saw a lot of students go through it, just like all our other buildings. But it's the friendships, the connections that really count.
I plan on being there for the demolition, and I think it'll be a sad time for the community, but it'll also be an exciting time.
Once those bricks start coming down, and people are going to be able to see what the new North, or the central site, it will be called the central site. Once you see what the architects have planned and the committee that are helping the architects give the vision, you're going to see a revitalization of the area.
To open a new building in that area is just going to show, a strong support for education from our community.
North School, thank you very much for your great service, but there will be a new building there that will help the current generation of students, which is the most important thing we can do.